Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over and through me. And when the fear has passed, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. No written word, no spoken plea can teach our youth what they should be, nor all the books on all the shelves. It's what the teachers are themselves.
Well, well,
That everybody's always watching your actions more than listening to your words.
welcome back to Relatable Wisdom, the podcast where everyday people share the quotes that have shaped their lives, inviting us all to reflect and connect. Today, we're joined by Dr. Danny Brassel, known as America's leading reading ambassador. With a vibrant spirit and a knack for storytelling, Daniel has inspired thousands through his engaging talks and insightful books. His journey from teaching in South Central LA to captivating audiences worldwide is a testament to the power of connection and communication. Let's dive into Daniel's world and discover the wisdom that has guided him along the way. Tell us your name and what's your favorite quote.
I'm sorry, what?
So tell us your name, who you are, and what's your favorite quote.
Yeah.
Okay. I said you should tell us. I've started recording, so tell us your name and your favorite.
I'm Dr. Danny Brassel, and my favorite quote. I don't know. There's something that John Wooden, the basketball coach, he always liked to use poetry to make points, and so there's a poem of his that I like that goes, "No written word, no spoken plea can teach our youth what they should be, nor all the books on all the shelves. It's what the teachers are themselves."
Well, okay. How did you come across this quote?
Well, most people waste their time on their cell phones. On my phone, every day I put alerts at different times of the day to try and learn little pieces of poetry. I'm a bad Christian, so right now I'm trying to learn Ephesians 4:29. So every day at 4:29 in the afternoon, I practice. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is helpful in building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. So I have an update for that. At 9/11, I like the book Dune, and there's a thing called the Litany Against Fear, so I practice that every day. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over and through me. And when the fear has passed, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. So I practice that. I'm impressing you. These are the ones I actually have memorized, but there's plenty I still have to memorize, and so that's how I get those quotes.
Oh, so what you're saying is that of all the quotes, this is your favorite. If you had to pick one and stick with that for the rest of your life, this is the one that stood out for years, and you've always had to go back over and over and over.
Yeah, the poem, I like it just because it's a reminder that to practice what I preach, that everybody's always watching your actions more than listening to your words.
Yeah. Okay. How far back was it when you discovered this quote? When was?
Oh, I don't know. I think I read John Wooden's book, They Call Me Coach, probably 25 or 30 years ago. And he always inspired me because he lived to be 100 years old, and he was just as sharp at 100 as most people are in their 20s.
Well, 25 years ago. Well, so this quote has been has been around with you for a pretty long.
Yes.
Yeah. The quotes I do when you read the poem, I do understand, but I'd love for you to break it down. Make me understand, and my listeners understand. 5 year old, and yeah. What does it mean? And
It means that you need to practice what you preach, that your teachers might tell you something, but if they don't practice it themselves, it goes in one ear and out the other. So always be a person of your word, and make sure your actions shine louder than anything you say.
how has it can you share us instances of times where you've this quote has kind of helped you, or you understand, when you've had to go through these quotes to make certain decisions. in the past 25?
It keeps me grounded. It definitely keeps me grounded so that, I I always wanna, I'm a Christian, and I always say my goal as a Christian is to make my Christianity a verb instead of a noun. A lot of people like to say there's something. I like to show people who I am. So I guess that's where I get inspiration from the quote.
Yeah. Have you for the past 5 years now, has there been instances where you've had to like reinterpret or kind of adapt these poems to fit the context of the situation you
Well, I'm a parent, and so I always want to make sure I'm a good role model to my kids, and I'm not always a good role model to my kids, and so that's why I look at the quote again and again, is to remind me of who I need to be.
yeah. Can you recite the quote?
No written word, no spoken plea can teach our youth what they should be, nor all the books on all the shelves. It's what the teachers are themselves.
Well, well, I guess I'm kind of curious, to read the book of John Wooden.
Oh, it's fantastic. They call me coach. Wonderful book, and he's inspired so many people.
Yeah. Um, how like how did you who introduced the book to you? Like, how did you even lay your hands on that book? Of all the books you could have read, like, how did you even assess that?
Well, I've always been a sports fan, and even though I went to the University of Southern California, not UCLA, I always admired John Wooden because he seemed like a compassionate leader with integrity. So I wanted to read his book. All of his former players love him. He's respected by everybody universally. So it was a book worth reading.
Well, you've said you talked about how you like to show what you are rather than be you rather be a verb instead of being a noun. Can you expand on that a bit? For,
I want my actions to speak louder than my words. I want people to view me and see me as a person that is a good person that they should emulate.
oh,
Yes.
okay. Okay. No, I thought you it cut off, so I wasn't sure if you still talk. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
Wow. Do you have other kind of similar quotes that kind of like support this main quote? That's they kind of look like this, but they're not. You understand what?
Well, I love having lots of different quotes. I mean, so like Teddy Roosevelt said, "Comparison is the thief of joy." I like that quote. I like. There's another little short poem I like where it's he dined beneath the moon, he basked beneath the sun, he lived a life of going to do and died with nothing done. So I like things like that.
Ooh, who that?
It's just a little poem, entrepreneur poem. Reminds me to get stuff done.
Wow, he lived a life of going to do with nothing done.
Yep.
Oh, why do I see myself in that?
Well, that's good.
Ah,
I mean, look, how many of your friends have said they wanted to start a podcast and they never did anything? You did something.
yeah,
Most people
yeah. You just keep dreaming of how fantastic it will be, but you never get to do anything. And we assume that we live life, and we live life like we have the whole of the eternity to ourselves. Like we have, we'll never old age or die. We'll never probably. In fact, when death is even mentioned, it's as if it's one of those things that, yeah, like no, don't mention it. And we all know that that's like the only guarantee, the only certain thing in life is death and tax.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, like you live the life of going to with nothing done. So for me, earlier on you mentioned some of the things you do to kind of remind yourself, because in
Uh-huh.
this world there's so many distractions, and I believe that we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. So what are some things you put in place to help you keep these quotes, these core quotes that reflect who you truly are, your value at the front and center of every day, gets to remind you every day? How do you
Yeah. Yeah. So on my phone, I have little reminders. So that way, when I'm bored waiting for something, I just go through my phone and look at little quotes like this.
yeah, So you, what if, sometimes we get so busy that we even forget about the reminder of the stuff. We even forget to check it out. Do you have a way for the stuff to check you out instead of you checking out the the
Yeah, I mean, my phone buzzes with alerts that I have to practice them. So I have it. So it's always
how,
part of my daily routine.
let's take a quick pause. If you're enjoying this conversation and want more thought-provoking ideas straight to your inbox, join the Relatable Wisdom email list. It's free, quick, and filled with bite-sized insights, inspiring quotes, and behind-the-scenes reflections from our guests. Just head to relatablewisdom.com/join. That is relatablewisdom.com/join, or tap the link in the show notes. And hey, subscribing to the podcast helps more than you think, and it's free. So if you haven't already, hit that follow button wherever you're listening. All right, let's get back to the conversation. How did you set that?
Just on my iPhone, I set up a different time every day for a different quote, and it just has an alarm that reminds me to review it for the day.
Oh, well, that's nice. That's really, really, really kind of interesting. Wow.
Great.
So I guess the major question I want to ask: how does one go about, um, it's important that we show, it's important that we embody the things that we preach, the things we talk about, the values and everything we say we hold strongly. It's important that we reflect those. How does one go about, doing?
Well, you have to live an honest life. Hopefully, that you're living your purpose every single day.
Yeah. Right. Right. Okay. I mean, the unexamined life isn't worth living. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, that's
correct.
that's that's true. Wow. Now, if you, as the, what would you say are some of the misinterpretation of these quotes that you say this? How do I explain this? For most quotes, there is a way people can actually misinterpret it to say what it's not exactly what it means into a negative, term. What are some misinterpretation of these quotes? Is there any? Or
Well, I think there's plenty of people that they say one thing but they do another. So it's a good reminder that you should live honestly.
yeah, yeah. Well, okay. This quote, is it? And for most persons, I get on the podcast. Some of them, they tell me that probably the podcast is the first time they've shared the quote. So is this one of the quotes you shared with family, friends, people you meet, or is this just something you keep dear to your heart and for yourself and yourself?
I don't know if I've shared it with my family, but I've definitely shared it with certain audiences when I spoke. I but again, the reason I do that is I just love watching John Wooden when he used to speak. He used poetry a lot, and I thought that was pretty remarkable.
Yeah. Well, that the poem you mentioned earlier on, he said he lived a life of going. Like, who wrote that? He lived a life of
I
going
don't.
to do.
I
Not
think that's James Albury, Albery. James Albury wrote that one.
leave probably after this podcast episode, I'll go check it out.
Okay, good.
I'd love to see the full the full stanza, or the full verse of the poem, and really see, you know, what it leads to. Yeah, I think there's a way with which poets have words, because I think probably it's because they have this poetic license. They can basically use words the way they want,
Uh-huh.
and it just makes it resonate in different.
I'll send it to you also.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. I'll greatly appreciate that. Oh, they lived a life of going to do with nothing done. Live a life of going to do with nothing done. Wow. Hmm. I don't know. For some reason, I'm trying to remember the quote you said, but it's just this one that you said most recently that's just stuck in my head. He lived a life of going to do with nothing done.
Uh-huh.
I know the quote is, why am I forgetting it? Ah, lived a life of going to do with nothing. Wow. Has there ever been a time when it's, how do I put it? It's it has been when you did being the noun and the verb did not exactly match what you said. Now it could be personal, it could be work, it could be it could be different aspects of life. What you said was different from what you showed people to be. And could you like share? I would love for to hear about that time or period of your life, if there is.
I can't think of any. I'm sorry about that.
Well, okay. Let me rephrase this question. You're a businessman, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. When you started business, did you how do I put it? Okay, let me phrase it this way. Imposter syndrome. When you started business, did you have it all figured out? Like, did you know everything you were doing completely, or was it something you like? Okay, I'm a business. I'm going to figure it out along.
Yeah, it's just like, this is what I always tell people when I'm teaching them how to speak better. I'm like, there's two ways to get better as a speaker. First of all, you should watch lots of speakers. And second of all, you got to do the work yourself. Kind of like with your podcast. The very first time you did your podcast, I bet you it stunk. And the second time you did it, it stunk, but it didn't stink as bad as the first time. And the more you
Yeah.
do it, the more you get to it. So same thing with me with coaching my clients is the more I've coached people, the more comfortable I've become with the recommendations I give and knowing what kinds of results they're going to get.
Can you remember your very, very first coach?
Oh gosh, no, just because I've actually always helped people with their speeches. I never realized it, but I think back to when I was a teenager in high school. I helped people put together more interesting presentations. So it goes back a long way.
Okay, let me rephrase the question. Can you remember the first coaching work you did that you were paid for officially?
Goodness. I think, well, I really started coaching full time about 5 years ago and was working with a group of people um, that worked for a famous person. And I really enjoyed just putting together their presentations, listening to the before and after. That was very gratifying. But it was, at first, I was very nervous and I became very relaxed as I watched how they listened to the coaching.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much for sharing your favorite quotes and your favorite poem with us. I think you are like the first guest to share a poem with us on the episode. Thank you so much for that. And what's
I'll share it with you. I'll email it to you so you have it as well.
yeah, I'll greatly appreciate that. Now for the next couple of seconds or minutes, what's one thing you want? What's one thing, one core message you want to share with my listener right now? You want for them to take out from this episode?
I think you're the inspiration that your listeners should get is that if you really want to do something, go out and do it. Don't just talk about it. So thanks for inspiring me and your audience, Wisdom.
I'm kind of lost. I don't understand.
Well, the quote is all about being your purpose and walking your walk. And that's one of the things I appreciate about you is most people just say they're going to do a podcast. You actually went out and did it. So I admire you for that. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Now I get what you're saying. Oh, my place. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much once again. Um,
Thank
for I know most of my listeners are curious because from some of the wisdom bombs you've been dropping, they're curious and they kind of say, "I'd love to check this guy out. What's he up to? What does he even do?" Right? So where can listeners learn more about you and what?
Well, as a thank you to you and your listeners for letting me share, if you go to freestoryguide.com, again, guide like a tour guide.com, I'm going to give everybody their own free uh, well-crafted story blueprint. What this is, it's actually a guide that shows you the process that I take my clients through on how to create a well-crafted presentation. What it does for you is it takes the guesswork out of putting together a presentation and shows you exactly where and why you need to include different elements of your presentation. And what this means for you is the peace of mind that you can connect with more people, get more clients, and have a greater impact. You can get that at freestoryguide.com. And again, Wisdom, thanks so much for having me today. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Thanks for listening to Relatable Wisdom. If you found something meaningful in this episode, make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. If you'd like to support the show, you can do that by buying me a coffee. The link is in the show notes. Every little bit keeps the conversations going. I'm your host, Wisdom Okonkwo, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep growing.